underneath the kitchen sink at all. It's just sitting there on legs. You can see the piping underneath. So that's super comfortable and no conventional cabinet there. We have a little coffee bar area because, as you know, coffee and the sharps, it's a thing. The cabinet above our coffee bar is where the adult beverages tend to hide out in this little traditional looking coffee bar area. Tina was trying to put finishing touches on our kitchen, and so I came home one day to find that Tina had taken the two doors on the upper cabinet, and she had taken the raised panel out. We had ordered it with a raised panel. She had taken the raised panel out from the back. She had removed the stops, and the panels are gone. She had gone to, the Home Depot? She'd gone to the Home Depot and bought some pattern stamped metal. It was brassy, and we didn't want brass, so she brought this pattern stamped metal home. It was a few bucks, like $15 worth, not even that. Brought it home with some bronze spray paint, spray painted it bronze. It's got this great, there are holes in it. It's a stamped screen. Cut it to size, replace the raised panel with this, put the stops back in. We'll have to put a picture up. Maybe you can take a photo and post this on social media at Home with Dean after the show, or now, or whenever, babe, so people can see. But just the idea. So now we've got this one section of our kitchen that has no panel, no raised wood panel in the middle of the cabinet door. Instead, it has a screened metallic screen on it. Gorgeous. And she's done it to other kitchens in other ways. The point is, when it comes to Tina in kitchens, she just loses it. She loves detailing them out, making every nook and cranny and corner unique. And that is the point. Stepping away from convention. Whether you're going contemporary or traditional, doesn't matter. There are always ways of breaking through convention in those ways. When we come back, let's talk about countertop edge thickness. I say the edge thickness because the real thickness of your countertops aren't going to change. You may not know how countertops work, but believe me, when you see a traditional countertop, or I should say a conventional countertop, they're about 1.5 inches thick on the edge, if it's a stone countertop or what have you. That 1.5 inches is actually an illusion, because if you've got a slab material that you're using, a stone slab, the slab itself is only about 3/4 of an inch thick, but the edge, we turn down the edge. We miter the edge, and we turn down some of that material on the edge to make it appear thicker on the edge, like a thick piece of stone, and it looks, gorgeous, right? Right. The point is, if we're already turning down the edge, maybe we can make that look even thicker. Raise the countertop a little. Well, we'll talk about that when we return. So glad you joined us this morning. You're home with Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer, Claudette Stefani.
It's the 20th anniversary of the September 11th terror attacks. The President and First Lady will visit all three memorials today to mark the anniversary. The Kaiser Hospital building on Sunset Boulevard in L.A. has been damaged by fire. The fire started around 12:20 this morning on the 7th floor of the hospital. West Hollywood has announced an executive order that says most businesses will need to have people 18 and over prove that they're fully vaccinated before they can enter indoor areas. We check out the 210 next.
This is a message for professional painters from your friends at Benjamin Moore. Thank you for listening to your customers. Thank you for paying attention to every detail, knowing what they want, even when they might not know what they want. When they say something like, well, I want a paint in here that's washable, so I guess it needs a little bit of shininess to it, but I really don't want it to shine, so can we do it flat, but it's got to be washable, but I don't like the shine. Okay. You guys, you're the ones who figure that out. You make it happen, and for that, we thank you. Benjamin Moore wants to thank painters everywhere for putting love into your work and for making homeowners happy. Whether you're a pro or a happy homeowner, everything you need for your next project is waiting for you at your local, independently owned Benjamin Moore retailer. Find the one nearest you at benjaminmoore.com. That's benjaminmoore.com. Benjamin Moore. See the love.
Come into CVS and get a free flu shot. Plus, get a $5 off $20 shopping pass. CVS, America's choice for vaccination. No cost flu shots with most insurance. Restrictions apply. Visit CVS.com for details.
Southland And weather from KFI, sunny for today, highs in the 70s, at the beaches, mid-80s to mid-90s inland. This report brought to you by CBS. We've got a closure on the 210.
Still more on the westbound side of the 210 freeway, Roxford to the 5. Caltrans has all lanes shut down until Monday morning around 5 o'clock. Use Foothill Boulevard instead. In Westchester, northbound side of the 405, La Tijera to the 90. 3 right lanes shut down until around 9 o'clock this morning. There's also a crash there in the middle of that zone right around Florence. It looks like they moved over to the shoulder now, but adding to delays, almost backed up to Century Boulevard now. Huntington Beach, both sides of the Pacific Coast Highway shut down between Beach Boulevard and Warner due to the Surf City Marathon. That's until around 2 p.m. KFI is the Shy helps get there faster. I'm Robert Sabucky.
This report is sponsored by Driveway.com. With more than 25 lenders at your disposal, Driveway can help you get into a new or used car today. Head to Driveway.com now. That's Driveway.com.
People who are vaccinated are getting sick from COVID variants, and Americans have no end of questions and concerns. What we do know is that fever is the leading sign of COVID, so everyone needs an accurate thermometer. Exogen temporal scanners' accuracy is backed by more than 100 clinical studies, while non-contact devices have no supporting studies. They miss fever and give a dangerous and false sense of security. Remember, vaccines are not enough, and you need an accurate thermometer. Learn more at exogen.com.
He raids your fridge. Brother. Borrows your car without asking. Scratches? What scratches? He's your brother-in-law. I'll pay you back. He takes what's yours, and there's nothing you can do. But when identity thieves want to take what's yours, you can do something. LifeLock by Norton monitors your info and alerts you to potential threats. If you become a victim, they can help fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but you can save up to 25% off your first year at LifeLock.com using promo code NEWS.
You remind me of the guy in high school who took my girlfriend, then went on to the next girl. You still think you're better than everyone else. You shut down public schools while your kids went to private school. Even now you live by different rules. You closed tiny coffee shops while you ate dinner at the fanciest restaurant. $12,000 for wine. You've lost touch with reality. This is not about political parties. It is about you, Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom. Dude, wake up. Look at all the homeless. You've gone through $500 billion, and where did it go? And why did you raise the gas tax again? Newsom, you cost me my job twice. But the money meant to the unemployed like me, you paid it to scammers. I'm a Democrat, and I want you, Gavin Newsom, out.
Ad paid for by Larry Elder, Ballot Measure Committee. Recall Newsom. Committee major funding from Elder for Governor 2021.
If you thought you missed the lowest mortgage rates in history, you're in luck because they're back. Mortgage rates are near historic lows again. So if you have a mortgage, refinance it and forget it. You'll never have to worry about refinancing again. Network Capital Funding is offering a low 15-year fixed rate at 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Incredible! Network Capital has built a reputation for saving people time and money with our unique process that's fast, simple, and secure. Our 15-year fixed rate is 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Now, second chances don't come often, and you may never see these rates again. So, refinance it and forget it. That's a 15-year fixed at 1.75%. Yes, 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Call the experts at Network Capital now. Call 800-500-1-HIT. 800-500-1-HIT. As in home run. Call now and save big on your refi. 800-500-1-HIT. 800-500-1448. NMLS ID 11712. Not licensed in all states. Visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Licensed by the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the Financing Law. Number 603D787. An equal opportunity lender. Rates subject to change and may not be available at rate law. Discount points may apply. Subject to credit approval. Call 800-500-1448 for additional cost information.
Someone uses your toilet and it overflows. Can you imagine how embarrassing that is for your guests and for you? Hello, I'm John Okoyan, owner of Rooter Hero Plumbing. You're hosting a party, the water's on the floor, and your guest has to tell you that the toilet is backed up. And worst of all, you have to tell your guests that they can't use the bathroom. I shudder when I tell this story because it happened to me. Can you imagine? I own Rooter Hero Plumbing and my toilet overflowed. Talk about being humbled. Well, the truth is, it could happen to anyone. And the solution is to call 866-DRAIN-77. That's what I did, and our plumber was here within the hour. Not because I'm the owner, but that's just what we do. I'm so confident that you'll be satisfied with our services that I put my cell phone number on every business card. 866-DRAIN-77. That's 866-DRAIN-77.
Yeah, 102-8886. 20 years ago, we knew our world would never be the same.
We vowed to never forget,
And we never will. We've learned that 20 years can pass in the blink of an eye.
we should never miss the opportunity to give a loved one, a friend, a neighbor, or maybe even just someone having a bad day an extra long hug.
Let's just take a moment to reflect and remember September 11th, 2001. And then imagine what our world will be like in another 20 years.
KFI would like to thank the Radio and Television News Association for making KFI News the winningest news outlet in Southern California.
KFI AM 640.
More stimulating talk.
An iHeart radio station.
KFI, Gene Sharp, the House Whisperer. Welcome home. Hey, thanks for joining us on the program this morning. I'm going to finish up some thoughts on who says you have to do your kitchen cabinets that way. We're just getting inspiring ideas to help you break from convention a little bit in your kitchen. Let me underscore the fact that I do not want in any way, shape, or form for any wild design ideas to make your kitchen impractical. That's not where we're going with this, you know. Form follows function. The kitchen's got to work. It's got to work well. Always, always, always. I'm not suggesting that in the least. What I am suggesting is we don't have to apply mass convention to every element of the kitchen. You can change up certain elements in your kitchen because they don't, you know, for instance, you don't need a cabinet kick, a toe kick everywhere on every cabinet in your entire kitchen because there are cabinets that you don't spend hours standing in front of, period, right? So change it up. All your cabinets come with a toe kick. I get it. But you don't need it on all of your cabinets. You got some freedoms. You don't need a backsplash everywhere because you're not splashing everywhere on every countertop. Some places you need a backsplash. Other places you can get away without it. There you go. All right? You don't need to have absolutely conventional and uniform cabinet doors everywhere in your kitchen. You can have different cabinet door patterns down below in the base cabinets that are a version of them, but with slightly different detailing in the upper cabinets in order to make things more furniture-like, more interesting, right? So there you go. What about your countertops themselves? As far as the thickness on the edge, hopefully you understand that you know, when you see a nice 1.5-inch thick countertop, that's a bit of an illusion. The slab material itself is about 3/4 of an inch thick if it's a stone slab. And then the fabricator has mitered the edge of that slab and turned it down or created added a layer to it and created an OG edge, you know, a custom kind of old world edge. I won't get into all of the edges that your countertops can have, but all I want to discuss is the thickness of the countertop. Since it's a turn-down edge to make it look thicker than it actually is, you know what? You got freedom. You can turn it down further. So typically on top of your cabinets, your raw cabinets, your installer is gonna put a 3/4-inch thick piece of plywood, which we call the subtop. Onto that subtop is adhered your slab, your stone slab, and then the fabricator has created an edge that turns down and covers over the edge of the 3/4-inch plywood. Therefore, 3/4 of an inch of slab plus 3/4 of an inch of turn down creates an 1.5 inch, generally speaking, edge, which is a nice thick edge, and that's kind of the conventional standard edge. All I'm saying is, if you put an extra piece of 3/4-inch plywood on your subtop so that you have an 1.5 inch turn down, then what you'll end up with is a 2.25-inch thick piece of slab. That is a thick, unusually thick, and substantial looking piece of stone. Maybe that is a great look for you, especially in an older traditional kitchen, because the idea of like a really thick countertop, a really thick stone work surface, it looks great. If you got a contemporary kitchen, you go the opposite way. Just stick with the 3/4 inch. Get a nice square edge, eased edge finish on it, and sit it on what we call a little shadow box platform, which is a little bit raised but inset platform for it. Can make a streamlined kitchen counter look fantastic, just very light, like it's floating in the air. Anyway, the point is, you've got control of these things. Explore your options. Think outside of the box. Same with counter heights. Mix up counter heights in your kitchen. You've heard me say it before. I'll just say it again as a reminder. 36 inches is a conventional counter height. There is no code attached to your counter heights. No code. Your city may have a recommendation or preference, but there's no international code for counter heights. There is only convention and standards and practices that put a counter height at 36 inches based on the average height of most humans about 50 years ago. We've all migrated up a little taller, the average height. Here's what the Culinary Institute of America says about your countertop heights. Stand upright next to your countertop, bend your elbows 90 degrees. The optimal prep counter for prepping your meals, chopping and such, 4 inches below your bent elbow. That is your optimal height. So measure everybody who cooks in the kitchen and come up with a new average. Set your counters where they want to be. Maybe the prep island is higher than the sink island. Maybe the sink island is higher than an area if you bake, which is down at 30 inches. Mix it up. Break it up. Defy convention when convention doesn't actually get in the way of function. That's the lesson today. So glad you joined us. Hope you have yourself a fantastic Saturday. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Handle on the Law is up next. Until then, everybody, get out there and build yourself a beautiful life. We'll see you tomorrow.
Whatever happens, we have got it covered.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Remembering 9/11. I'm Claudette Stefanian, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The ceremony marking the 20th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attack that occurred in 2001 at the Pentagon is underway. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is leading the ceremony. Also, an event is taking place at the World Trade Center. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden and other dignitaries are in New York City's Lower Manhattan, the site where the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center collapsed after a hijacked jet was flown into each. The names of the victims who died will be read aloud. There will be 6 moments of silence marking the moment each tower was struck and the time each fell, the moment when the Pentagon was attacked, and the time hijacked Flight 93 crashed in Pennsylvania. The Kaiser Hospital building on Sunset Boulevard in L.A. has been damaged by fire. The fire started around 12:20 this morning on the 7th floor of the hospital. Firefighters were able to keep the fire to one room. A second child in Orange County who had underlying health conditions has died of complications related to COVID-19. Deputy County Health Officer Dr. Regina Chincio Kwong says the child was younger than 5.
It's an urgent reminder that COVID-19 affects everyone and everybody must do everything we can to protect those who are the most vulnerable in our community, and especially those who are not yet eligible for a vaccine.
A teenager died last year. Dr. Chincio Kwong says parents should make sure their young children wear a mask in public, practice social distancing, and are only around people who are vaccinated. The White House has stopped flights into the U.S. with Afghan evacuees.
Operation Allies welcome flights into the United States have been temporarily paused at the request of the CDC and out of an abundance of caution because of 4 diagnosed cases of measles among Afghans who recently arrived in the United States.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the evacuees have been housed at 2 U.S. bases in Germany and Qatar after being airlifted from Afghanistan. Let's go ahead and check in on some traffic. We've got trouble on the 405.
Northbound side, there's a work zone in Westchester between La Tijera and the 90. The 3 right lanes, those are closed until 9 a.m. Your right starts to jam up around Century. But once you clear that, it's a quiet ride continuing north. In Sylmar, there's a full freeway closure westbound side of the 210 between Roxford and the 5. All lanes are closed until 5 a.m. Monday. In Garden Grove, they're also doing work on the westbound side of the 22 between Brookhurst and Magnolia. The carpooling and 2 left lanes are closed until 10. It slows as you approach the work zone. KFI and the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Soren Crump.
The hot temperatures continue next.
You've been lied to. Lied to by corrupt Washington politicians and the Wall Street propaganda machine. Hi, I'm Inc. magazine best-selling author Brett Kitchen, and I want to give you a free copy of my brand new book, Wealth Beyond Wall Street, because we all know another market crash could be right around the corner. After losing 35% in my IRA in the crash years ago, I said enough, and since then I discovered a way to grow money potentially double digits, reduce taxes dramatically, and also have my money protected when the next stock market crash hits. When the next market crash hits, you lose nothing. Call Wealth Beyond Wall Street now to get your free copy and talk with a specialist to discover this little-known strategy to get potential double-digit growth during good years and never lose when the next stock market crash hits, all while building a tax-advantaged retirement. Call 800-908-1616 to discover this asset that people like Walt Disney and JCPenney use to grow wealthy. Plus, get one of just 97 free books left. We even cover shipping and handling, no credit card required. Call 800-908-1616. That's 800-908-1616, 1-800-908-1616.
Southland weather from KFI. Sunny for today. Highs in the 70s. At the beaches, mid-80s to mid-90s inland. Highs in the 90s for the valleys, the inland OC and IE. Temperatures are expected to stay around the 70s at the beaches and 80s inland for most of the week. In Anaheim at 72, Laguna Beach 70, Diamond Bar 75, and Cerritos 71. We lead local live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Claudette Stefania.
Marginal legal advice where I tell you you have absolutely no case. If you're injured and need a lawyer, go to handleonthelaw.com. And if you're a lawyer and want to join our team, because people desperately need your help, go to handleonthelaw.com and click on the Join Today tab at the top of the page. The following is a pre-recorded program. There was a group called the Non-Human Rights Project that brought a lawsuit against the city of New York, actually the state of New York, to have Happy declared a person, to give Happy personhood. 49-year-old female Asian elephant, been living by herself in conditions that have, well, they're not wonderful, to say the least. And so here the appeals court determining whether animals are people. PETA has been making these claims and filing lawsuits for years. PETA, you know, that bread that Mideasterners eat. The people for the ethical treatment of animals. I always get the two confused. And it's case after case that's filed. Last time, I think they did one with a chimpanzee, arguing that the genetics of chimpanzees and humans are so close they should be both considered human beings. And the court said, nah, I don't think so. And then there have been some really crazy ones. Richard the gerbil, for example, was once the plaintiff in a lawsuit to be declared a person. And so here are the justices looking at this, and they're actually looking at it. There was an appeals court decision. They lost, of course, the lower court and kicked it up, and I guess the court wanted to hear it because the appeals court can say no. So the judges were a little skeptical. And one of the joint justices said, isn't this better suited for the legislature to act on? Legislatures could actually deem animals people pursuant to a legislative act. Now, if that holds up in court, no one knows. But if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be the legislature. And then the justice said, I'm not so sure we're equipped to even handle these kinds of matters.
And what the group argued is that Happy's living condition at the Bronx Zoo was effectively solitary confinement, and arguing she's been mistreated. Now, think about this for a moment. And there's some practical aspects of this, because right now animals you own, they're property. It's that simple. You buy, you sell animals, and that's it. Now, what if animals were people? I mean, think about this legally. This is not one of those, gee, what if animals were people, and then we start, flying off on fantasies. No, legally, if animals were people, you can't own a dog. You're not allowed to own people. They call it slavery. Abraham Lincoln and 14th Amendment and all that stuff. Actually, 13th Amendment. And so it has been an ongoing fight. So practically speaking, of course, there's nowhere to go with that. And legally speaking, there's nowhere to go with that. Although, do you remember Mitt Romney during the run for the presidency? He said corporations are people, and that may have cost him the race. He was nailed for that. Well, corporations are people for purposes of shielding liability. That's what corporations are about. They are an entity. They're not people, but they have a lot of the same shields. And so they've been, so the animal rights people is using that a lot. Hey, if corporations can be deemed people, then certainly non-humans, animals, hamsters, gerbils, Happy the elephant can be named people. So anyway, of course it's going to go no place, but it's just kind of fun. Man, I love these lawsuits. Yeah. You know that I once had the guy who was head of PETA on my show. I interviewed him, and I had him for, I think, a full hour. And as he was, we were talking, I was eating cheeseburgers the entire hour. And I'm serious. And I was just spraying it out, pieces of cheeseburger were flying out of my mouth. And he was terrific about it. He was terrific. He found the humor. He didn't nail me on it. And PETA is so brilliant at public relations. He got an hour on a major radio station with 1 million listeners. And he got an hour to make his case while I was munching on cheeseburgers. And I made sure that the engineer jacked up my microphone so you could hear me munching the entire time while the guy from PETA was talking. All right, it is definitely time to take a phone call or two. Hey, Mark, welcome to Handle on the Law.
Hey, Bill, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Okay, I have what I call a property dispute with a twist. And I think I should get to the twist part first. And the twist is that my neighbor, who I believe is doing building modifications to his home without city permits, which affect my backyard, works for the city. And
okay, wait a second. It affects your backyard how? How so?
Try to picture this, Bill. The way our neighborhood is set up, the garages are all at the back of the lot. There's a long driveway going to our garages, and each one of us, one wall of our backyard is our neighbor's garage.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Can you picture that?
Yeah, I can. All right. So, what is he do? What is he doing that interferes? Forget about the illegal part of it right now. What does he do that interferes with your enjoyment of your property?
For starters, he has not maintained his garage in 30 years.
That's his issue.
The stucco is falling down in my backyard. He hasn't painted it. The roof is crumbling.
I think
it's just a ghetto-looking pile of crap.
But hang on a minute. Is it the property line, or is it just inside his property line? Do you know?
Well, look, it's his garage, Bill, and that's the question
It doesn't matter. If it's inside his property line, in other words, you have a survey, let's say it comes out, right? And there you are looking at the survey, and you look at his garage. Is it on the wall itself? Is it the determination line, or is it just inside his property? And that's critical, by the way.
Then that's why I'm calling you. I have to believe the garage is on his property,
If that's the
not
case,
on the line.
if that's the case, he can do whatever the hell he wants with it. He can let it rot. He can do whatever he wants because that's his property.
So, okay, that's bad news for me, but there's more that I need to ask you about.
All right.
Okay. So, also in the same backyard, he has built a bootleg room. Okay. He's done major remodeling to his home, all without city permits.
How does that affect you?
Because the bootleg room is an eyesore in my backyard. And it's termite, okay? This is a lawless neighbor, and now I want to get to the meat of the issue.
Which is?
Go ahead. He works for the city. He's a big wig with the city. The city does all this without building permits.
How do you know?
The city's been ignoring. Go ahead.
How do you know he's without building permits?
I just know.
How?
I know.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Because I've gone to the city planning desk and I've said, is there a building permit for this address? And they say no.
Okay. So he is violating the city code, and it's an eyesore, which is allowed to do, and it is infested, which is allowed to do, by the way. You can have all the termites you want, all the rats you want in your house. And he's building without a permit, and the city won't do anything about it. Okay? Which the city can or cannot do. And he's a bigwig with the city, and unfortunately, they have a right to enforce or not enforce. Now, you can go, when you talk about a bigwig with the city, what kind of job does he have?
He's the assistant for one of 5 city council members.
Yeah, that's a big issue. That is a big issue. Well, you may just have to suck it up. You can file a lawsuit and force the issue, maybe, but I think you're going to have to prove that you, in fact, are harmed in a major way by him doing it. The fact that he's violating doesn't matter, because that's between him and the city. The fact that it looks horrible right next to your yard, that's his issue, or that's your issue that you just don't like it. He's allowed to do that. So you've got an interesting situation on your hands. All you can do, I think in the end, all you can do is try to file a lawsuit and have a court enforce the issue and have the court order building and safety to enforce its law. And I don't even know if they're going to do that. And the reason is that the courts give administrative agencies, which in this case is building and safety, planning permit people, a lot of leeway. They have to act so crazy, and here they're not acting so crazy. They're just not enforcing. And it's not a question of not enforcing where people, neighbors are in danger. That's just very bad luck to have a guy next to you who does this. This is Handle on the Law.
Live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The United States is marking the 20th anniversary of the September 11th terror attacks with commemorations across the country. A COVID-19 vaccine requirement will soon be in place for businesses in West Hollywood. A second child in Orange County who had underlying health conditions has died of complications related to COVID-19. We check in on some traffic issues on the 60 next.
Seller's Advantage. You call them up if you want to get out of here. You can't live in a place where they won't let your kids go to school, all right? Your kids are going to get permanently damaged by this. And if they won't let you work, what's left here? Go where you can get a job. Go where the schools are open. Call Seller's Advantage. They'll buy your house as is. And they can make this happen quickly. You don't have to fix up your house. You don't have to clean it. There's no strangers walking into your home. Those open houses are dreadful. No such thing with Seller's Advantage. In fact, they'll close on your home in days if that's what you need, or months. They're highly reviewed on Google, A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Seller's Advantage has purchased over 10,000 properties since 2007. BRE number 0196-1658. SellersAdvantage.com. Call them. 888-321-AS-IS. 888-321-AS-IS. 888-321-AS-IS.
weather from KFI. Get ready for a hot one. It's going to be highs in the 70s at the beaches, mid-80s to mid-90s inland. We've got a work zone on the 60.
Westbound side at the 5 in Boyle Heights. And the transition to the 5 north, that's closed until 11 a.m. They're also doing work in Pomona. Eastbound side of the 10 at 57. Both